Intelligence is not fixed. That's not a motivational statement. It's a neuroscience finding. The brain changes structurally in response to how you use it. We know that specific daily habits measurably increase fluid intelligence, memory capacity, processing speed, and cognitive flexibility. The science is specific, and the steps are accessible to anyone. Research shows this pattern is more consistent across populations than previously understood. A groundbreaking study in Nature imaged the brains of people learning to juggle. After just 3 months of practice, gray matter density measurably increased in areas responsible for motion processing and spatial attention. When they stopped practicing, those changes partially reversed. The brain is not hardware. It's living tissue that responds to what you demand of it. Research shows this pattern is more consistent across populations than previously understood. In this video, we are going to see the neuroscience behind intelligence, what it actually is, what specific habits change it, and how to build a daily routine that makes measurable cognitive improvement not just possible, but predictable. Research shows this pattern is more consistent across populations than previously understood. Studies find these effects are measurable and reproducible across independent research groups. The fixed intelligence myth is one of the most damaging ideas in modern culture. The idea that your IQ is set at birth and doesn't change. Neuroscience has thoroughly dismantled this. While certain genetic factors influence baseline cognitive potential, the brain's plasticity, its ability to form new connections and even grow new neurons, remains active throughout life. The question is whether you stimulate it. Most people's daily routines actively suppress cognitive potential. Chronic sleep deprivation impairs memory consolidation. The process where short-term memories become long-term ones happens entirely during sleep. Sedentary lifestyle reduces BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is essentially fertilizer for new neurons. And passive entertainment keeps the brain in low stimulation mode for hours each day. Research shows this pattern is more consistent across populations than previously understood. The difference between people who show consistent cognitive growth and those who plateau isn't genetics. It's the nature of how they engage their brains daily. Research on deliberate practice shows that the brain responds to specific conditions: challenge at the edge of current ability, focused attention, and consistent repetition with feedback. Casual learning without these elements produces minimal structural change. One of the most replicated findings in cognitive neuroscience is the relationship between aerobic exercise and brain structure. Research in Nature Reviews Neuroscience found that regular aerobic exercise increases hippocampal volume by 2% in older adults, reversing 1 to 2 years of age-related shrinkage. The hippocampus is the brain's primary memory and learning center. Exercise physically grows it. Research shows this pattern is more consistent across populations than previously understood. Sleep is where intelligence is literally consolidated. During deep sleep, the brain replays the day's learning, transfers it from the hippocampus to the cortex, and clears toxic metabolic byproducts through the glymphatic system. Research by Matthew Walker found that a single night of poor sleep reduces memory consolidation by up to 40%. Every hour of sleep debt directly costs cognitive capacity. When cognitive neuroscientists map the habits that produce the most measurable intelligence gains, a consistent hierarchy emerges. These are ranked not by popular opinion but by the strength and consistency of evidence in controlled research. Research shows this pattern is more consistent across populations than previously understood. Studies find these effects are measurable and reproducible across independent research groups. The evidence here is robust, replicated, and directly relevant to your daily health choices. The London taxi driver study from PNAS is one of the most striking examples of experience-driven neuroplasticity. Taxi drivers who had spent years navigating complex London streets showed significantly greater hippocampal grey matter volume than control subjects. More years of experience correlated with larger hippocampal volume. The brain physically grew in response to sustained navigational demand. Research shows this pattern is more consistent across populations than previously understood. The neuroscience-based framework for intelligence improvement has 4 components, each targeting a different aspect of cognitive capacity. Together, they address the hardware, brain structure, the software, learning efficiency, and the maintenance, sleep and recovery. Skipping any one of them limits the system. Research shows this pattern is more consistent across populations than previously understood. Studies find these effects are measurable and reproducible across independent research groups. Intelligence improvement is not linear. It follows a recognizable progression when the right conditions are in place. Research on neuroplasticity and skill acquisition shows predictable windows where different types of improvement become measurable. Research shows this pattern is more consistent across populations than previously understood. Studies find these effects are measurable and reproducible across independent research groups. The evidence here is robust, replicated, and directly relevant to your daily health choices. The daily habits that build intelligence are simpler to implement than most people expect. The key is consistency over time, not intensity in any single session. Research consistently shows that small daily doses of cognitive challenge outperform sporadic intensive study or cramming. Research shows this pattern is more consistent across populations than previously understood. Studies find these effects are measurable and reproducible across independent research groups. Identifying which cognitive lever to pull first depends on where the biggest deficit is. Research on cognitive optimization consistently shows that addressing the weakest link in the chain produces the most rapid overall improvement. Research shows this pattern is more consistent across populations than previously understood. Studies find these effects are measurable and reproducible across independent research groups. The evidence here is robust, replicated, and directly relevant to your daily health choices. Intelligence is changeable. The neuroscience is clear. Exercise grows the hippocampus and floods the brain with growth factors. Sleep consolidates learning into permanent memory. Deliberate challenge at the edge of your ability forces structural change. And teaching what you know deepens every trace. The steps are specific. The results are measurable. Your brain is waiting. Research shows this pattern is more consistent across populations than previously understood. Your brain is not a fixed entity. It is a living, adaptive system that responds to how you treat it every single day. The science of intelligence improvement is one of the most empowering fields in neuroscience because it puts the outcome in your hands. You are not limited by what you were born with. You are shaped by what you do next.